say greetings, Earthlings.
Welcome back to the Lettuce
Ooh,
podcast.
and then do a bunch of like spaceship noises, like beep, but like them in there, like us not
Oh,
make.
don't make them.
Put a noise
Okay.
in, and maybe put a space floating across the screen. Yeah. Oh, this could be fun, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I should have had like a saucer.
You take care of all of that. You're gonna do all that work.
Justine, you edit all of that in there. Good luck.
Good job. Welcome to Lettuce podcast. Today we're talking aliens.
Meep, moop. Spaceship.
Pretend. Spaceship
Yeah.
happened.
Aliens don't make a lot of noises. It's usually like clicking, like it's like a purring.
Depends
kind
on
of
the alien. Depends.
Yeah.
Alf talks a lot. A lot.
Because I'm terrified of aliens, I think the perfect place to start is all the movies that are not scary that have aliens in it that you guys want to talk about. Why don't you start with Close Encounters?
That's a great movie to start with.
All I have to say about Close Encounter, well, other than the fact that I think it's a beautiful piece of art, in all honesty, I think Spielberg just made this incredible looking movie, and the sounds, like the musical symphony part with the alien, and I just love it. But I am Richard Dreyfuss in this movie.
I can see that. I can see that actually.
The opportunity that he gets at the end of the movie, that's me.
Him.
I would choose to do that in a heartbeat. And I was with him the whole movie. I was like, this guy knows what's up. He understands aliens.
So there's
I
two reasons I very specifically think that is going to be a big compliment to you, Crystal, that I think they chose him. And it's a big part of the movie. Why do you think they chose him?
I genuinely don't know. Because he was so good in Jaws. Yeah.
Close Encounters is more so about the drive, the ambition, the obsession of being an artist, in particular a filmmaker. Richard Dreyfuss was particularly desperate to have this role and was cast for this role because he still has this childlike wonderment about him while still being an adult, and he's very much an artist. So it's those two reasons that I think the aliens pick him.
He's so cute. I have the biggest crush on him. He's like a bear.
He's only like an inch taller than me. He's only like 5'5".
Oh, he's so
I'm 5'1", so I don't care.
I don't care. No, it's cute. No, he's so
Holy
great.
God.
What? You're 5'1"?
I didn't mean it. No, I'm not 5'1". I didn't realize you were that short.
How tall are you, Crystal?
I'm only 5'4". I'm not tall.
Oh,
we're the same. Yeah.
5'4" is, we're not short, we're not tall.
We're very average. Yeah.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, short. I am very average. Yeah.
No, just average height, Emma. Average height.
I like to go further. I'm dramatic.
Which is not average.
True.
Isn't it though? No, I haven't seen this movie in a while, so it was really a treat to rewatch it. And there's something adorable about a lot of the scenes at the beginning where there's the spaceships where you can tell it's a studio. It's still cute. Yeah. I don't know. I just love it. There's a lot of themes about the idea of how human beings used to, and the whole Devil's Tower, linked to an old Tower of Babel, where human beings used to all speak the same language, and God confused us. So the whole thing with the aliens speaking through music and sign language, which is the most universal languages, is just so beautiful to me. And of course, for the other obsessee, the Frenchman, the Dr. Brenner of the kinder Dr. Brenner of it, was played by none other than Francois Truffaut.
Truffaut.
How obvious, Spielberg, I love you. For those that aren't big Francois Truffaut fans, he is one of the huge new wave French film directors. He did The 400 Blows, which I could be really petty and be like, you guys would know if you watch my Instagram reel or my TikTok about teenagers in film. Anyway, 400 Blows. He did Jules and Jim. He was one of those French film critics that decided that, what are these people doing? We can make films better. But Truffaut's obsession was film. Like, whenever he saw a filmmaker that had another hobby, like tennis or something like that, he's like, you're... Yeah. Yes. He's like,
tennis?
The only thing is film. He was
not allow tennis to creep into our filmmaking, guys.
But Truffaut was very nervous. And there's that beautiful moment at the end where he says to Richard Dreyfuss's character, before Richard Dreyfuss is chosen to be the one that goes with the aliens, and he says, because he knows already. It's like he knows already Dreyfus is going to be the one that's picked. I am so jealous of you. I'm so envious of you. Truffaut was nervous to act in a movie. It wasn't something he had done before, but he had agreed to do it because he was going to write a book about acting. So he's like, oh, perfect opportunity. That, to me, is one of the more beautiful moments in that film emotionally, is when Truffaut's character says to Dreyfus's character, I'm so envious of you. Knowing that he's going to be the one before he's picked. He knows.
Yeah.
Dreyfus is the one with that childlike nature and that artisticness. And it's also Spielberg exploring his fears, because he had not been married yet. His fears of being an artist, because there's a certain selfishness that comes with being an artist and having a certain drive. He's a child of divorce, which he tells us in all his films. But we're not bad talking him. Now, a lot of us are children of divorce. Nothing bad about that.
I'm really excited for his next movie.
Folklore? Is that what it's called? Folklore? Fairy tales?
Spielberg?
Folklore? Yeah.
Meet the Feldmans?
I don't know that one
But
at all.
I
I
don't.
haven't heard of that one.
Am I like? Oh man, you guys are gonna make me second guess myself.
Oh, yeah, they're mentioning Project Blue Book in the chat, which this was very much based, as they were doing pre-production and into production, is based on Project Blue Book, which was a real occurrence where a lot of pilots from the Second World War went missing and people were looking for these planes. And so that's where it started.
Yeah, the
And
Fablemans.
Fablemans.
The
So
Fablemans.
like a mixture of
Fablemans.
what we both said. Yeah.
Yeah.
You are
Close
The
closer.
enough.
Fablemans.
Yeah, they showed that at the Toronto Film Festival. I saw. 'Cause I'm always jealous because people go get to see these awesome movies, and I'm like, I have to wait.
Well, it'd be like a biopic
No.
almost, like a biography of sorts.
Oh, that's
Oh,
cool. I
cool.
like that. So is
So-
this one? In his earlier life. I really love this film. If you're looking for like all out bunch of aliens, this is not the movie you're gonna want. I think that a lot of the cooler alien abduction type scenes happen with the single mother character and her little toddler and their house, kind of like the whole isolated house and the lights. It's also beautiful, as you were saying.
It is stunning.
If you want a horror version, a much scarier version.
It does take a while to get there, though. I think
It does.
Holy does it ever.
Okay, Crystal. It takes a while because
Hey.
that's what the story dictates.
I know.
Not gonna lie, I don't dislike Fire in the Sky, but it is
I love
it's a
Fire in the
little
Sky.
slow for me.
Very slow.
I don't think
It's
it's
not.
nearly as scary as people say it is.
I agree with
I
you.
mean, the
Justine.
amount of people that
It's
are,
not
and
supposed to
it's
be
okay.
scary.
Oh, but the amount of people that every time I talk about alien movies or mention alien movies, you need to watch Fire in the Sky. It's so scary. It's terrifying. So I actually watched it for the first time this last year.
Me too.
So I'd never seen it before. I was like, okay, I'll watch it. Aliens scare the F out of me. So this will probably be super terrifying to me. Right? I don't know.
Those moments of the ship are
abduction-
very upsetting, though.
I don't disagree with that. I think that there's moments. I think suffocation on screen is really hard to watch for some
Well,
reason.
the
Like,
dead
I
body
feel it.
that he came across.
I think that was scary. I don't know. It's
So-
the alien sticking stuff in his eyes and like the suction.
Which happens at
that
the very
part-
end, everyone. So it's mostly
That's what I'm saying. It takes so long to get there. I wish there would be a movie like Fire in the Sky that examines a little bit more of the characters and the trauma and the way that they're reacting to it in a more horrific way beforehand. Like how
thought it was
their
very
lives are
realistic.
falling apart. Would do this movie really good. And
Flanagan?
people are probably gonna hate me. I think that Ari Aster does a good job with telling like, trauma with characters and getting really emotional performances. The way I imagine Toni Collette performing in Hereditary, dealing with her personal traumas, I didn't have to see the trauma to know like, she experienced some serious trauma. And the way she acted out that scene was so good. And I would love to see interpretations of that, of them like dealing with townfolk and drinking problems, marital issues, all of that, and just PTSD generally, these abductions and people not believing you and gaslighting you and what that does to you leading up to abduction would be so much more impactful. I didn't care about any of these characters for how
I
long
did.
stuck with them. I just thought they were all insufferable.
A lot of them were.
I saw this on cable quite a while ago, so I think it's a little bit of the times. I think that things were a little bit slower paced. And I also think that it may be, I couldn't say because I had seen it before this year, is that it might get hyped up a lot because people don't expect the last 20 or 15 minutes in that spaceship.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
much of this movie is in the town. And what I
Mm.
like about Fire in the Sky that I think is interesting to me is so these friends are going out into the woods. It doesn't really matter why. See this light come down, and it's obviously some kind of craft. One friend goes towards it and they're like, "What are you doing?" And he goes towards it and then he gets taken. And then they go back to the town and like, how are we going to explain this? And the townsfolk, which is a very small rural town, a little bit
Yeah.
hicky, which I grew up in a town similar to that.
So I feel like I knew these people for that regard. Like they did nail that. Like these people seemed very much like the people I knew.
For a good portion of the movie, it's more of an investigation of what happened to the guy that's missing and how everyone wants to
Mhm.
turn it into, even though there's no body, a murder investigation. And the main character for this part of the movie, I can't remember the actor's name, but he plays Agent Doggett in the X Files when David Duchovny left, and he's T2.
Robert Patrick.
Is that his name?
He's also in
Or
The
what?
Faculty. He's like an alien guy.
Yeah.
I have such a big
Me
crush
too.
on him.
I like
He
him a lot
looked
too.
good with the longer hair in this. I'm like, why is
He's
he tearing
so
his
good
Yeah.
looking.
Usually he's not my type, but with the longer hair in this movie, it may be. Anyway,
Hello.
Ballet dancer body.
I don't remember what that looks. But anyway, so they're having a town meeting, and it's the fact that the people of the town are so desperate for an answer of what happened to the
Mhm.
missing man. And it's the idea of our desperation for explanations and answers of the unexplained. And it starts in the small town idea of we'd rather kind of hear that one of you murdered him and have an answer to what happened to him than just not know. Then
Mhm.
obviously the character that was taken comes back, and then it comes back down to they want an answer to what happened to him and he has PTSD. At the end of it, they don't really get an answer. Why was he taken? We see in the ship that they seem to use people as an energy source or what have you, but it's accepting these traumatic events, unexplained events that can happen in life. Of course, alien abduction is an extreme. One quick movie I want to mention very quickly that doesn't have aliens in it, but it deals with this
Yeah.
kind of topic is I don't know if you guys have seen Mysterious Skin with Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
No.
No.
I highly recommend it. Content warning. It does have to do with, we don't see it happen. It's mostly dealing with these two teens, one of them being Joseph Gordon Levitt, very young Joseph Gordon Levitt, dealing with the fact that they were molested by their softball coach. And one
Mm.
remembers it that he was abducted by aliens, which happens in real life where people that are molested as
Mhm.
children somehow, because it's a very invasive thing, they remember it that way. And the other kid who ends up, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, had emotions towards the coach, even though he was a child. So it's a very, very deep movie. It's a very good movie. The Mysterious Skin has to deal
Mm.
also how you feel. One kid thinks he was abducted by aliens, but it's not an alien movie, but it is, I highly recommend it. It deals with similar themes to Fire in the Sky, which was based on a true story, which was then in a novel, Fire in the Sky.
Yeah.
This is another perfect segue to The Fourth Kind because when this
Mm.
movie came out, I thought that half of what we were watching, the found footage elements, it's not found footage, it felt like a documentary. It felt like we were watching a movie being reenacted by Mila Jovovich, and side by side, we were watching like real footage and interviews from people that actually happened. Now we know none of it happened, but still, there's also some real footage at the end of like real recordings and interviews of people talking about abductions in their areas and stuff. There's like this combination of real and fake at the end. I don't know. It's frustrating, but it scared the living crap out of me because I thought it was real.
I don't think I've
Well,
seen
it was
it.
look at it that way.
Didn't they get sued for it
I
because there are
don't
actual
know.
missing people in Alaska? They used real people's names as like missing people and imply that they were abducted by aliens. These
I
are
get to be
missing
upset
people.
about
There is implications that they were abducted by aliens, but a lot of people think that they were murdered by like relatives, but missing generally abducted by actual people, like human trafficking.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
so they got sued for that.
What year did this
Anyway,
movie come out?
It was a while ago.
in 2009.
Yeah.
2009. So I remember watching this, and I grew up, born and raised here in the Pacific Northwest. And most of this film references Alaska because that's where it's located, but it
Mhm.
also references Washington and Oregon and Idaho and British Columbia because this whole area is rife with UFO sightings and
Mm.
people claiming that they were abducted by aliens. It's very much a hot spot, a hotbed for that outside of
Yeah.
Roswell, New Mexico, which everybody thinks of. Really, the hotbed is here in the Pacific Northwest. Besides Sasquatches, we have alien abductions.
Hey, the
Yeah.
first alien abduction was in New Hampshire.
Was it?
Yeah, so the
Cool
couple
fact.
first, I don't know if it was the first doc, maybe the first US. It's a couple. They added that into the second season of American Horror Story. Barney and I don't know what their names are, but it's a whole thing. They went through a lot, that poor couple. Like most people that really stick to abduction stories, it ruins their lives. It's not good.
Yes, there was a lawsuit because they actually fabricated news stories, but then attributed them to actual newspapers that existed. So, movie is really like effective in coming off as real, especially with the side by side reenactments where we're watching Mila Jovovich and then we're watching this it's a reenactment of something not real.
Yeah.
Like, do you
You
remember,
probably
Crystal, watching it? The found footage elements? Like the dash cam footage from the sheriff's car of the big UFO for the house, and the guy, like, just, like, getting contorted and, like, possessed and, like, lifting up off of his bed, and, like, this is
Yeah.
very good.
Okay, when I first watched The Fourth Kind, I was obsessed with it back in the day. It was one of my favorite movies. I thought this movie
Mhm,
was so creepy, so good. I
mhm.
watched it maybe last year, maybe the year before, and I really disliked it on a rewatch. I don't know why all of a sudden this movie just doesn't sit right with me, but it also, to me, all of a sudden just doesn't feel like an alien movie. It feels more like a possession movie. Maybe that's what I'm having an issue with all of a sudden. On a recent rewatch, I was like, it's like we're watching tapes of people being possessed by a
Yes.
demon. It's
It's
like an
so
exorcist.
funny that you say that though, because when I was younger, my stepmom used to tell me that she didn't believe in aliens, that she believed that aliens or alien
Ah,
sightings were demons here to test people's faith
Oh
and
my
that
god.
they
interesting.
were designed by the devil to like test
The
people's faith and like
devil. I'm so sorry.
so
I'm
to me,
sorry.
it's yes, that's exactly like why I think I don't know, maybe that is like religious interpretation of
Maybe.
abductions, if that's what it looks like. I don't know, it connected to me on that as well, but I liked
Yeah.
that element because I have a personal experience with someone saying that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like it is a possession movie. One element that
Mhm.
I really appreciated was the owl
Yeah.
alien element. I thought that was
Mhm.
so creepy and cool. I cannot not see owls as aliens now. Yeah,
Whoa.
that's so funny. And then you see it again in the film Nope. So it makes me wonder if
Mm,
Jordan Peele gets some inspiration with that. Like
maybe.
they
Yeah,
just they
maybe.
look exactly the same.
I
I
mean,
haven't
okay,
seen a fourth kind,
uh,
so I can't say.
you should watch it, Emma. Like, I sound like I'm shitting on the movie. I just liked it less on a rewatch. I don't hate the movie, but it definitely was effective the first couple times I watched it. I really liked
Mhm.
it. I don't know what happened on this recent rewatch, but whatever.
My
It's
It's
funny
fine.
because I don't like found footage, and I like this
You
one.
Yeah, that's true.
This one to me was a very effective found footage because the amount of what you do see is just enough that the distortion of the camera adds to the freakiness. Like,
Mm,
doesn't cover it up, it adds to it. Like, it's very similar effect happens in Dark Skies where they use technology against them, where they see like interruptions in their electronics and their security cam footage. When they slow it down and they really analyze it, you can see that it's intentional and it adds this extra element of freakiness to their abilities and power and their reach that
yeah.
it's effective to me. I don't know.
Oh, Dark Skies. That's by our buddy Jason. Jason, right? Jason.
Let's double
uh
check this. I'm pretty sure it is Blumhouse, but I watched an alien movie that was Blumhouse. I'm pretty sure it was Dark Skies. I
it
remember the
is.
Blumhouse
It's
intro.
Blumhouse.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
knew
it's
it was you,
Blumhouse.
Jason, buddy of mine. Just kidding. I don't know Jason
Jason.
Blum.
I actually
Jason.
love this movie. So this is polar opposite of The Fourth Kind for me. The first time I watched Dark
Yeah.
Skies, I didn't like it as much. The second time, I was like, "Damn, this is really good."
Is this the
Yeah.
one where all
Yeah.
the birds hit the window and stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. I only watched it once in theaters. It wasn't my favorite.
It wasn't mine the first time either. But
I've
man,
liked this movie since the beginning. I've always kept it at like 3 stars, I think. I don't think it's like the greatest movie ever or the greatest
no,
alien movie ever, but
no,
this is one of the better Blumhouse films, I think, in later years.
I agree. I
So,
do agree.
like, no offense, Jason.
We still love you, Jason.
We loved your Megan outfit, and we think that you and M. Night are really cute friends.
Super cute friends.
Super cute. We think it's adorable. We love that for you, M. Night. It was really sweet that he shared that with us. Not us personally, but in the world. The beauty. How I went on about how Jason Blum seems like the guy that wears deck shoes all the time. I was gonna make a TikTok about it, but he wears deck shoes quite often. But to be honest, sometimes they're more loafer. But I did find a picture of him in
A
Uggs.
man of comfort.
Yeah.
Man of comfort. I feel like Dark Skies took some really cool elements. Again, the whole birds into the window thing. I don't know. All the jump scares I thought were super effective, for one.
I
And it
agree.
seemed like the way things escalated, like the progression of events, there were still these really startling moments that I feel like movies like Paranormal Activity miss the mark on for me. Because Paranormal
Oh.
Activity, you get like the cupboards open, and it's like, oh my God, and that's a really effective jump scare the first viewing. But nothing interesting about the cupboards opening. Where then you have Dark Skies, where the first incident is there's food everywhere, and they think that an animal got in, but it didn't actually eat anything that was meat. It only ate like vegetables.
Do you think that's a callback to Close Encounters of the Third Kind?
I would
Because
think
that
so.
literally that happens like exactly the same. Anyways,
Maybe,
keep going.
there's a lot of callbacks to Close Encounters in a few of these movies because
There
you
is,
mentioned a
yeah.
couple things that I'm like,
Because
that was
it
like
is
this
elite.
movie, that movie.
It
Um,
is elite.
There's like that kids movie with The Rock or whatever, and the two alien kids where they
What?
go to Devil's Tower, and that's where their hidden spaceship is.
Oh, I've
Is
never
it like
seen
So
that.
Spy Kids or something like that?
no, it's some other
Oh
kids
wow.
movie. Anyways,
Is it a remake of Journey to Witch Mountain? There's a
yeah,
remake of.
that one.
I've never seen that. I saw the
Oh,
original.
I've never seen
Race
it
to
either.
Witch Mountain. The race to
I've
Whatever.
yeah.
heard of it.
So the first incident is like the food, which is very yeah, sure, that's very much like cupboards opening. It's not that interesting. But that happens so early in the movie. That's one of the first 15-20 minutes of the movie that happens. The next incident, she walks into the kitchen, everything's rearranged and it's making like these shapes on the ceiling and it's so intricate and beautiful and eerie at the same time. And then her son's awake and is describing like the Sandman. This is very creepy stuff. Everything seems to escalate and feel more and more like an invasion into the house.
It,
When it happens so much throughout the movie. You think, how are they going to have a climax with all of these really crazy things happening to them? And oh, part where she loses time, I think is one of the freakiest moments.
when she's like at work or whatever, like
Yeah,
getting
she's at
dressed.
work and suddenly she just smashes her head on the
Yeah,
window. And then she wakes up and she's in bed and she thinks that she's just waking up for the day and she had a bad
yeah,
dream. And she
yeah,
looks in the mirror and she's got like blood on her scalp and
yeah.
she gets a call from her boss saying she freaked out and then she looks at the time and it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That is so scary to me.
See, this is another alien movie that kind of felt like a haunting or like even a
Yeah,
poltergeist almost. Like didn't really feel alienish because if you didn't know this was an alien movie, you'd be like, these people have a ghost or a demon or
Paranormal
something.
Activity, it's very
Yeah,
similar things
yeah,
happening to them.
I saw
it
it in
is.
theaters, and from what I remember, and I'm fairly certain with the marketing as well, they didn't want you to think it was an alien movie, from what I remember. They didn't try to make you
Okay.
think it specifically wasn't. I remember the trailer being the birds hitting the window and certain freaky things, and then it becomes more apparent later that it's aliens. I think they originally, when this movie came out, they didn't want you to think automatically this is an alien movie. They wanted
I
you to
mean,
ease in.
that worked. But then when we do see the alien, like when it's following her down the hallway,
Oh my god, it like
it's
shoots back
so
and it's behind
creepy.
her when she comes
Yeah.
around.
Oh,
It's just like
it's a creepy alien. They did a
it's
good job on it.
it's a
I like
classic
it.
like gray like skinny thing, but it's the way
Yeah.
it's just standing there and like
Yeah.
heaving.
That's a
Get
clip.
it? But that's what it's doing, okay?
It is. It is.
It's literally like you breathing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh
It is
yeah, it's so
creepy.
freaky. And the misdirect is so good. And I don't want to give it away if
Mhm.
you guys haven't seen it or if some of you haven't seen it. The
Yeah.
misdirect is just sublime.
It
And there's a
is.
few misdirects. Like there's a
There is.
few.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I really like this movie. And I actually think I might like it more than I rated it. Because the more I talk about it, the more I'm like, that was genius. That was a smart
Yeah.
move. What's his face in it is also great. J.K. Simmons, who they
Mhm.
go see, and he's a like conspiracy theorist hiding in his apartment collecting like newspaper articles, but has also been abducted before.
Yeah.
Cool little addition. He was cool. He was such a calming element. That's not usually how that character is portrayed in film. Usually
The
they're like a
savant.
little wild, and, little, and like Woody Harrelson, like in 2012. Oh,
I
they
know
usually are.
the savant, and the savant can be
Shay.
yeah, she's awesome. And Zelda and Poltergeist, which again, neither of those are alien movie, but the savant can be a mixture of things. I think they could be crazy
Yeah,
sometimes, like
I
Woody
think
Harrelson.
typically when it's a woman like that, they are just kind of eccentric, very
But
tarot-y like
centered.
woman.
They're
Yeah,
eccentric but centered. They don't seem like they're a little
confident.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. And but they typically have this like nurturing motherly quality to them. And J.K. Simmons has that in this movie where he's very calming, he's very like comforting to them, but at the same time very truthful and honest about what's about to happen and what they should and shouldn't do and how to like help them while they're just like freaking out. They're going through these different degrees of disbelief and processing what he's saying, and it's very difficult for them. And I
Yeah.
think he played that character really well because I think typically when it's a guy who's gone through like an alien abduction or is talking about conspiracies in any degree, they're wild. They're like, they're not calming figures. And then you have that same trope happens where they just don't believe them at first. I think they just dismiss them as psychos or
Yeah.
crazy people. And that didn't happen in this movie. And I appreciated that.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. The guy in the dark
Mm.
skies.
There's a few comments in the chat talking about Life Force, Toby Hooper, who I bring up a lot. Have you guys seen Life Force?
I
I
haven't.
haven't. I swear you mentioned it recently, though.
Well,
We needed to watch it.
it's almost also a vampire movie.
That's what it
It's
was. That's what it was.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah.
a lot of it does take place in space in the beginning. It has Patrick Stewart in it briefly, but I recommend. I won't go into it deep, but it's an earlier film. Toby Hooper. I recommend it.
Oh,
Good to know.
Toby. He's got his
Good old
fingers and
Toby.
everything.
I
Whoa.
he sadly has passed away. Rest in peace, is Toby Hooper. Legend he is. Oh, he would enjoy that. He's the director of
I
the
know.
Chainsaw Massacre. He'd love
I
it.
know.
So I talked a little bit about J.K. Simmons being like this really calm, knowing guy who's also a conspiracy theorist to a degree, who talks about these different types of aliens. There is a fantastic movie out there that plays on this trope in a way that really messes with the audience, where I went through different stages of not knowing what the hell was happening in this movie, and it's 10 Cloverfield Lane. I was watching that movie the first time. I had not been spoiled. I did not know that this was an alien movie or actually an alien movie. And I went through every stage that our main character went through, where I was like, this guy's crazy. Okay, maybe something did happen. He seems to be caring. There's another guy here. Okay. Nope, this guy's crazy. Oh my God, he murdered somebody. Oh my God, get out of there. Oh my God, is this
This is the
lady
one
really
with
getting
John
attacked by
Goodman, right?
aliens?
Mhm.
Yes. Yeah. And then if you see this lady and you're like, what has happened to her? Is he telling the truth? Am I stuck with a murderer, a psychopath in this bunker? And then she gets out, and then you're thinking maybe everything's fine because like she takes her mask off and she's not melting like weird crazy
And
lady
then
was
it's the
melting.
best part.
And then it's the best part.
The best part.
That movie
Um,
is such a roller coaster in the
it
best
is.
way.
It's a good movie.
Messed me
It
up.
is.
Messed me
Yeah.
up.
I had a feeling. I knew it was gonna have aliens in it because of Cloverfield, which we can talk about after, please.
That one
Um,
I've seen. I haven't seen 10 Cloverfield Lane yet.
Definitely need to watch it. It is
Yeah.
one of the best, I think, slow burn horrors out there, psychological thrillers that turns
I
out to be a
love
lot
scary
more.
John Goodman. John Goodman's really good scary.
He's so good in it.
he
I
is
mean,
really good in this.
I usually don't like movies that are like uncomfortable, like you're like literally cringing while you're
I
watching
love
it.
them. I love it.
This one does it so well.
Justine, you're right. Like, it does take you on that roller coaster. Like, the first time you watch it, you're like, what do I believe? What's going
Yeah.
on? It's great.
I guess they ruined it for a lot of people though with one of the trailers that they released, and
Oh,
one of the like promo images had the whole spaceship.
Wait.
yeah,
It's a
that's,
really cool ending actually.
yeah.
So it's a great like addition to the Cloverfield universe, which got its start in found footage with one of
Yeah.
my favorite found footage film ever, which is Cloverfield.
God, I fucking love this movie.
Me too. It's so good.
I get a lot of hate actually for saying how much I love Cloverfield because it wasn't super well received. I feel like when it came out, like
For
a
the
lot of people didn't
dumbest,
like
most
it.
inaccurate reason, okay?
I
Why?
know.
Because
People say
why
it's
would
too
you
much
keep the
shaky
camera
cam.
on?
No,
Yeah,
they say
they
it's too
made
much
me sick.
shaky cam, and it's got the least
See,
amount of shaky cam I've ever seen in an action horror like this.
it makes sense that there would be shaky cam. It would make more sense if people were complaining, like, why would people keep the camera on, which is the usual complaint with them.
No, that was a complaint as
There's
well, though.
exposition in it though, where he talks about like how he's going to document it.
Yeah.
My one complaint would be like he's an amateur dude who just got asked to record a video at a party and he's
Yeah.
that good of a cameraman. That should be the complaint. But instead the complaint is there's too much shaky cam. Like
Right.
what?
I know.
It's so good.
But man, when movies are set in big cities or like really famous locations and stuff, and it just gets fucking wrecked, I love that. Like when the Statue of Liberty head gets like fucking tossed down the
Lopped
street,
off.
I'm just like, I eat that shit
The
right.
the bridge
Yes,
scene is and
the
then the
bridge
like
scene.
little
Oh,
aliens. Holy cow.
yes,
The whole subway scene leading to her like
yes.
like
Oh my god, yeah, where she just like fucking like starts
epic.
bleeding from the eyes. Oh,
Yeah. And you don't expect her to die because it's Lizzie Kaplan. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. You
What
know
I
what?
really like about Cloverfield is it almost feels like Gojira. It almost feels like you're watching
Yeah.
a kaiju. Even though we don't see the big monster for a while, the imposing force of it really is present and terrifying.
You get like
I,
snippets. You'll see like the shoulder move behind a building or whatever, and you're like, there's something big going
You
on.
see
And
it
it's
pass
ooh,
between.
yeah.
But you
Oh, I
get really
love it.
good monster reveal. You do. You
You
really
do.
do.
This one
Like
works. This one
it does.
works.
The ending where our cameraman actually gets eaten is like the biggest like spot on reveal of it, like where you really
Yeah.
see its face. But you see its entire body before that in like news. They're like camera views, like aerial views of it from helicopters and stuff and military helicopters. So
Yeah.
there's a lot to this movie. I don't know.
Oh,
I think it's so good. And the poster for it is so good.
it
Like
is.
there is like a running joke that if there's a Statue of Liberty is always on disaster movies and it's always like wrecked and like
Oh.
and it's always featured in disaster movies. But in this one, it's almost like they're making fun of that because not only is it
Yeah.
wrecked, but there's like a trail in the water going all the way to the city. And there's like this burning trail through the city. Like,
Yeah.
I
Oh,
feel like we
man.
see it more after 9/11. Ghostbusters 2 did it, but I feel like
Oh.
the Statue of Liberty gets a little bit more attention.
you're with very normal people. This is just a party. They have their
Mhm.
own internal little struggles, but this guy's obsessed with finding his girlfriend. And that's
His
worse.
ex-girlfriend.
His
That's
ex.
not his
Yeah, his
girlfriend.
ex-girlfriend.
Who's dating
Save
another
her.
guy.
Oh, love is
Right.
love. Love is love.
So it's a really interesting, I don't know, journey. Like they're going in all the wrong directions just for this guy's girlfriend. All
Yeah.
of these people follow him instead of getting
Yeah.
out.
God, so many dumb decisions, honestly. But it's fine.
But
Yeah.
Unexpected.
you're so caught up in the chaos of it, you can understand that those characters are as well. So it doesn't feel like I don't know, because it's
Yeah.
a situation where you really don't want to be like, okay, they're doing a dumb thing. I'm gonna go off on my own because that's its own just dumb decision.
Yeah, really, what do you do? Imagine just you're in this situation in general. You're at a fucking party and all of a sudden this starts happening. That's the scariest thing I think I can
'Cause
think
that's
of
how it would
to go
happen.
through.
That's
Yeah.
you're just living your
Ugh.
life and boom, aliens.
Yeah. Scares the
Yeah.
hell out of me. That's scary to me.
Yeah. So the Cloverfield universe is a universe. There's 3 films. There's also so it's 10 Cloverfield Lane, Cloverfield, and Cloverfield Paradox. People don't like Cloverfield Paradox. It's not technically on Earth, it's outside of Earth. I believe that it is also technically a prequel to Cloverfield because I believe the monster originates from falling from space in that movie, but not in that dimension. It's the same universe in different dimensions. However, I believe in Cloverfield Paradox, it's connected to Cloverfield because you're peeking into some of those dimensions. And you see the creature like fall from the sky during a beach scene into the ocean.
Do they all take place
So,
in New York?
no. 10 Cloverfield Lane is like in Iowa or something. I don't know.
I don't know why, but I have this romanticized idea of older New York, especially. This is a 1980s movie. It's called Liquid Sky. It is highly stylized. It looks like it's kind of like a David Bowie fashion scene idea. Liquid Sky is part of the no wave movement of independent filmmakers in New York in the late 70s, early 80s. One of the bigger people to come out of this movement is Jim Jarmusch. And it's a lot of low budget independent filmmakers by the seat of their pants. Some of it is SOV, but most of it's in maybe 16 millimeter. And the premise of Liquid Sky is this model who lives in New York, and this actress plays two characters.
It plays two characters, you said?
The main female and main male character in this movie, and they're both androgynous. Her character is wronged a lot. She's got some heroin problems. She's in the fashion world, and the costume design and makeup is just amazing in this movie. And some of it's made up. It's like fancy out of duct tape. Yes. So the premise of the aliens is they originally come down and they're drawn to heroin, like the idea and pleasure of getting the heroin, but they find we don't really ever see the aliens, they're kind of lights. They find through attaching themselves to above her apartment that they really get hooked on like high of like the oxytocin that's released during orgasm. Someone helps her kind of figure out that the aliens are killing because they are feeding off of the orgasm of the people she brings back. So she brings people that have wronged her. One person is a rapist to her apartment to get killed. And the reason she doesn't get killed, she thinks it's because the aliens don't like her, do like her, but it's not that. She doesn't reach orgasm. Sad, I know. There's very much to the whole scene of that time in New York.
Would you trade that? Would you trade that?
I'd rather
She doesn't reach
live.
orgasm or live.
But it's not like a conscious choice she makes. It just happens to be the case. It's not a choice she makes. It just happens to be. I would rather live. It wasn't really a topic I was thinking we would talk about, but
you didn't see this coming.
maybe I did. But it's very much. It's a lot of people attribute the AIDS epidemic into this story and allegory, but it's just before that. So the filmmakers didn't really have that in mind with it. It's more about the epidemic of heroin and people that are in more marginalized, like people that are in the queer community and all that kind of stuff are more vulnerable to such things to New York. It is a really fascinating, beautiful movie. Like, looks cool. And so that is a no wave movie. I highly recommend.
Hey,
It's on YouTube.
would wish you recommended that before Bad Taste.
I did recommend it.
Did you? I don't remember that.
Oh,
on the
you
list.
did? I didn't see that.
It's on my, I put it on there somewhere, but I did recommend Bad Taste more prominently. That's true.
Yeah, you did.
You did.
It's the first Peter Jackson full-length movie. Is it the
I have
vomit that's
respect.
bothering you guys? Is it the vomit or is it the yelling
Yeah.
and the guns?
No, it was
Oh,
just
the
chaos.
sound development on that film. Like
Wild. It was the burping and the slurping of the vomit. that made-
the whole time.
It's just consistent.
So Bad Taste, it's very frenetic. It's very goofy. It does get a little bit boring in scenes because it's a lot of just. It's supposed to be funny, and it is funny.
Chicken a lot for practical effects. Chicken.
They had
There's
no
like chicken
money.
cutlets coming out of people's
Honestly,
heads.
low budget. Yeah.
This is the man that gets the Oscar for Lord of the Rings. This is his movie.
Incredible.
Who would have thunk it? Okay, it does. If you like Dead Alive, Brain Dead,
It's not as
it
good
is
as
a
that.
lesser version of that. It feels like the first run through of him refining what would be Brain Dead later and like becoming a better storyteller because this did not have a story. I still don't know what the fuck happened.
I
I
think
just
the
don't.
brain.
It took off in a house in space that later. I didn't even know
That
it was
was the
aliens.
alien
Where
spaceship.
Yeah.
the blue though, there were aliens. Like at no point does it feel like this was an alien
No,
movie. I had
they're
no idea.
talking about aliens in the way beginning. Peter Jackson, they're talking about how they are AIDS. They are like a group that is watching the alien invasion, and that's what they do in the very
Right,
beginning of the
right.
movie.
The very beginning of the movie, I could
They
not
talk
help but
about
watch this guy murder who looks like Drop Dead Fred.
it was an alien, the guy that gets the half head. He was an alien. They
Yeah,
talked
I
about it.
could not tell
Yeah.
that he was an alien though, and I
Drop
was
Dead Fred
not.
was a redhead, by the way, not a blonde.
But the guy looked like it's not the same guy. I could have sworn that was the same
I have
actor.
no idea.
Like,
It looks like
it
a
looks like
wig.
the same
It looks like a
exact
wig, to be
guy.
fair.
Oh, it does. But I mean his face, like his face and his hair. If it
I
was
don't
red, if
know.
his hair was red, it was Drop Dead Fred. I'm telling you, that guy
That
was Drop Dead
rhymed.
Fred. I'm about to find out.
I
I'm
don't
about to
know.
fight you.
I'm gonna
I'm
fight
not-
you
I
over
don't
Drop
know.
Dead Fred.
It might be. I don't know. But it is heartwarming as an early example of a very dedicated filmmaker. And you could tell
Yeah.
they had fun. I think my favorite part is when the older gentleman slurps up. For those that haven't seen it, the vomit looked just like green slime. It doesn't look like
Nothing
real
looks
vomit.
realistic.
Chunkies.
It just sounds disgusting.
And he
It's not even
slurps
just
it.
green. It's like a bluish green.
Well, dude slurps up a bit of it, and he's like, "Ooh, I'm lucky. I got a chunky bit." That's one of my
Yeah.
favorite lines of the movie.
And the guy comes out and he's like, "You won't believe what I just had to do." And they're like, "Did you have to eat what?" I don't even remember the word they used, but it's that's you just assume that's what you had to
You
do. in
guys
that
haven't
room. Like,
mentioned
how
the
did
fake butts either.
Oh my
I was a
god.
little confused by the fake butts and the fake knees and the fake shoulders.
Probably
A little
because they're
random.
rolling around rocky territory filming the whole time. Like,
Yeah.
they needed some protection. They were beating themselves up too much.
Yeah. I heard that this
Yeah.
movie took 4 years to finish. Is that true? Like,
The
that's
amount
think
of
so.
martial arts they had to
Okay,
learn.
so they yes. So Justine in the chat mentioned, I don't think I've seen one woman in this movie, and like
I
Justine,
did.
they didn't know any
These
women
guys
back
have
then.
seen a woman before this.
There's
They've
no way.
never known the touch of a woman.
Probably not. This movie is called, I'm not kidding, I did not make this up. People call this Peter Jackson's Eraserhead. Like, the way that it took David Lynch to finish Eraserhead is this is
Yeah.
Peter Jackson's Eraserhead.
Fair.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Fair.
Man,
I
yeah,
was
there.
almost angry with Emma.
Really? Oh, I was into it. Like, I liked it, but it was. Man, I
I
was gonna
feel
say
so bad.
I like the brain, like when he shoves the brains into his head, and I love
That's
the
cool.
ending with the chainsaw like through his body. And he was like reborn.
That guy was
That
so
was
funny. He puts his skin on.
so good.
See,
Like, there
there's
was
good
so many
moments.
good no, for
Oh,
sure. There was
there's
a lot of
great
good parts.
moments.
But there's a
Yeah.
lot of moments where it's just them running around. Like a lot.
Yeah, the whole
Pew
beginning,
pew.
like
Like,
the whole third,
Yeah,
third,
pew, pew,
first
pew, pew.
beginning. Yeah, that was too much. I was like, we need to move
I
on. from
loved
this.
it. I loved it.
it does
It
remind
was
me of a
fun.
film that you make with a bunch of your friends in high school.
Yeah.
But you have a bit of skill, just not all the right skill yet.
Yeah.
No, this is a great
Exactly.
segue into a movie that I wasn't going to make you guys watch because it is a certain.
Well, before you get to that, though, I do want to say I feel bad because I typically never get around to Emma's watches. And so I'm always like, Emma, I want your recommendation this time around. And I've been making a point to ask her for one. And this is what she gave me.
I didn't know it was a big deal. I would have picked something else if I knew. I would pick Life Force.
I have been
or Liquid
subconsciously
Sky.
thinking, God, I got to make sure I watch Emma's rec because I feel like every time she does a rec, I don't get around to hers and I need to watch
Okay.
it. And so I made a point to make sure that I watched your rec this
had to be
time. I was
I
almost
like
mad
it.
at Emma. Because,
You
not
guys
because
still
you
need to
knew.
watch
You don't know what I'm thinking.
Frankenhooker. Chatted very briefly with a fan of the podcast on Instagram, and I'm not making this up. It's not a lie. It's not like it's gonna be a lie.
Nobody
It's-
thinks that you lie.
No.
Nobody.
All right, I don't. But it's
But I'm
but
going
they
to.
said so. To be fair, I was talking movies with this person who's a fan of the podcast, and they were saying, and I brought up SOV movies because it's me, and they said, "Oh, just let Justine and Crystal know that the fans He's one person, but the fans recommend an SOV episode. So the SOV movie I'm going to talk about that I didn't make you guys watch, that some Riff Tracks fans might know, is Feeders. Feeders feels like a movie that one guy, your best friend, shows up like boom, breaks down your door to your house, and it's like, dude, I have the best idea for this movie. We have 24 hours to make it. And he's like, yes, I'm in. And they're actually brothers, the Paloma brothers. It feels like making movies is something that is just a necessity to them. It is a love of theirs. Feeders, you're going to get a lot of mustaches, made in Pennsylvania, a lot of tube socks, 1990s flannel. The aliens are
My
puppets.
life.
My type.
The aliens are puppets.
My type. Justine's
they-
into some kinky, weird puppet stuff.
I said my type at tube socks, okay? I don't know what kind of delay you have.
I think it came after puppets.
I love puppets in a normal way. In a normal way.
I'm not gonna say anything.
I'm not going to agree or deny.
We'll get there someday, guys, okay? Just give me time.
Puppets? Or an SOV episode.
Paywall, Justine. Paywall.
This is one of the filmmakers, as you can see, with one of the alien puppets.
Oh my god. Cute. I want that puppet. Not
I
for
know, right?
Justine's reasons.
It reminds me of one of those guys from Pitch Perfect, the like sock puppet acapella group.
Yeah.
Like, that's what he looks like.
So there is a Earth was just an appetizer, Feeders, and then there's a Feeders 2 that is Christmas oriented. If you're into SOV and this kind of
Oh my god,
adorable-
we didn't even watch Critters.
I could talk about Critters. I've seen it
No,
enough
we
times.
didn't.
Critters
Okay.
2 is the more optimal, and then is it Jonathan Taylor Thomas is in Critters 3, I believe, right?
Leonardo
Obviously,
DiCaprio.
whatever, they're the same thing.
I was closer with blonde boy Devon Zawa. All right.
So it's not Jonathan Taylor Thomas. It's
No,
Leonardo
Leonardo-
DiCaprio.
It's Leonardo DiCaprio.
Whatever.
That's quite the
All those-
difference.
no, it's when they were all little.
No, I had a
blonde
crush on
boys,
both
then-
of them.
So did I.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas is not blonde. He was the brunette one.
No, he was
He had like dirty, sandy, browny blonde hair. It was like a mix.
blonde. They
He
all
was-
look the same.
He was hot though.
Anyway,
I
he's
had
in
this
Critters 3.
poster. I had this poster of him, of JT, like walking down train tracks that I got out of like Teen Bop magazine. It was. Do you remember back when the Teen Bops or whatever
Tiger Beat.
Tiger? No, not.
Oh,
it was.
God.
It was
I used to
after
buy
that.
them all.
It was like Teen Bop and Teen Cosmo and a few other. There was
J14. You guys have
J14. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
And
good.
like they always had centerfold posters, like
Yeah, they
huge
did.
posters.
Oh, I think I
that
had
you
the
would
same
get.
one.
I
Yeah.
had JT like walking down train tracks in a jean jacket
I
that was like blocked
think I had-
colored, and he's wearing his wide leg
I
jeans
feel
and
so
stuff,
left
and he was
out.
just
I
like,
didn't have any of these. You guys want to know what I had a picture of in
Ethan
my
Hawke.
locker? No, Ethan
just
Hawke didn't
kidding.
get hot until 47.
oh my god,
Anyway,
oh my god, here it is. Oh my god, I gotta share it. I'm gonna share it. I gotta share it.
I had a picture of Tom Servo in my locker.
Oh yeah, that's not who I would have guessed.
I have a full Tom Servo downstairs.
This
Oh my
one.
god! Oh my god! You found
I'm
it?
pretty sure I had that exact same poster.
Oh my god,
my-
that's look
that's
at
so
him.
What is he
Yeah,
doing
he-
now? Is he
I
retired
don't
from acting?
know. I feel like he is
Come
retired.
He look-
on,
how
look at
old is he?
cute. What
No, he was, like-
magazine was this?
He, you know what the funny thing is? He looks like he's supposed to be a mini Ryan Eno because he has like shoulder pads. It's like he's a kid, but then he's got the oversized suit.
Look at how short his little legs look too.
Oh.
Is he our age?
He's
a little
older. I think.
older.
He's pretty damn close to us though.
I don't
Now
know.
I'm curious. What are you
That-
buying?
A little older than us.
Went way off topic with JTT. Okay,
There
so join our
isn't.
Discord. Speaking of influencers, if you want to support this podcast, you can
We're
join our
not
Patreon.
influencers. No, don't say that about us. Don't say that.
We are
Say.
content creators.
Best to trigger you guys.
I know, and it's working.
I can't even say any of it seriously. God.
We usually have general discussions about horror movies, horror books, and just general chat.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining us. Until next time. Phone home.
Oh no. I can't remember how he does it. I wish that my finger lit up.
Oh my god, that was so good. Phone home.
Live long and prosper, guys. We love you.
Oh my god.